Hi, folks. Phil here. Many of you, of course, will know me, and many of you won't. Uh, I know I said I was going to do this video on a Periscope, but I seconded out. So I'm going to do this through QuickTime or YouTube, and then I'll upload it for people to watch. This may not be the most coherent video you've ever watched. This is the first time I've ever done this. I've been interviewing people for a long time. I've had people come on my show to talk about depression. Clark Carlisle would come on our show and expose himself vulnerably expose himself and let us know some of the horrendous things he's been suffering. I've asked people to do that, and I've know personally, based on my own struggles, I've taken a lot from that. So I think it's only fair that I do the same. I'm doing this pre-recorded because I don't know if I can get through it. I'll be honest. Apologize because this is going to get very emotional at times. And I might end up checking it out and not posting this. The purpose for me doing this video isn't for sympathy. It isn't for people to feel sorry for me. The purpose of this is in the hope that other people who watch this, whether you suffer from depression and addiction yourself, or whether someone in your family does, or your friendship or whatever, I don't know. But it's about awareness, and it's about helping people who are suffering similar situations than what I'm suffering. And unfortunately, people like Piers Morgan, who perhaps I'm a snowflake, Piers, I don't know, maybe I am, do horrendous, terrible damage to men and women who struggle to speak up for fear of being brandished. Because I know for a fact, given my line of work, I fear doing this big time. I've chickened out many times, and many times I've thought this wouldn't be good for my career. Don't do this. But that's not fair, because if someone who comes after me wants to change, wants an environment where it's acceptable to do this, it's up to people to change that culture and make sure it's okay for people to come forward. Purely for context, and I'm not going to bore you to tears, I have to give you a little bit of background on myself. So obviously, 41 years of age, born and raised in Belfast, came to America at a young age. But back in Belfast, I developed some health issues. At probably about 14, I started to develop really bad back pain, lower right back pain. And I would go to the doctors with it and repeatedly be told, there's nothing wrong with me and you're fine. As a child, you have complete and unequivocal trust in what a doctor tells you. So I believed that I was fine, that this is just something that I would have to live with, despite the fact that it was extremely painful and extremely debilitating. I lived with this for years until I came to America, and my girlfriend at the time saw me on the bathroom floor in enormous pain and demanded that I go to a doctor. I did, purely to appease her, not expecting to find anything. Within 5 minutes, really, of going to a doctor, they told me there was blood in my urine and that I needed to do an ultrasound. I did an ultrasound, and they told me that my right kidney was twice the size of my left kidney, and it was more or less dead from not being treated. Had it have been caught back home, things would have been different. As a result, I lost it. I was taken into hospital, and they took it out. And that really was a precursor for a lot of problems. And I'll explain that later. Throughout the next number of years, I had many issues. I had 5 knee surgeries. I was choked. My hyoid bone was broken. I broke my wrist. I broke my shin bones, both of them. Um, I developed arthritis in my body, and so my spine started to slip. So they drilled rods and screws to hold my spine together because my vertebrae was deteriorating. And so I herniated discs. Well, because of only having one kidney, I can't take anti-inflammatory medication. So I can't reduce the inflammation in my body. So it's not the only place I have arthritis. The problem in my left knee is incurable. My left knee, unfortunately, will continue for the rest of my life to develop calcium deposits based on a genetic issue that I have. And they just grow and they grow and they grow. And then they start to press on my cruciate and it causes enormous pain. So every couple of years, I have to go in and have them cleaned out and taken out. So it's not a brutally terrible surgery, but the pain that you live with till you get there is not fun. But anyway, obviously with my back, my legs, my knee, my other osteo issues, I live with chronic pain. But I could live with all that. What happened December the 4th, 2007 was what really changed my entire life. I turned 30 years of age, 2007. I was 30 and 30 or 31, I can't remember. 31 that year in November. And it began as the best year of my life. I became a father that year to a beautiful baby boy, my son Aiden. I was with the woman of my dreams, who I absolutely idolized and adored. And sorry, we're coming up to Christmas. I bought my first house that year, and December 4th, 2007, I'd been off work for about a week and a half because it was Thanksgiving in America before that, and I took a few days off. My first day back at work, I came home a couple of hours early and found her dead. It was 3 weeks before Christmas. My son was between her feet. My dog lying across her feet. The gas electric fire was lit because it was December. No fire guard. My son, who was 10 months old at the time, was alone for hours between the feet of his dead mother. I came home and found her. I screamed. I tried to give her CPR, all that. And it's funny the way your brain works and what you remember. When I opened the door, I saw her, and my first thought was she'd fallen asleep. But about 2 months before that, I'd been home in Ireland for my aunt's funeral. And my aunt, and anyone who's been to a funeral and seen an open casket will know the color of death. When I looked at her face, he knew she was dead. I grabbed her hand, and her hand was ice cold. He turned her arm over, and her blotches, where all the circulation had stopped. As I lifted her on the floor, her eyes rolled back in her head. I tried. I screamed on the phone. Firemen came out. They put the pads on her once and looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. She's dead." When the coroner came, I had to lift my dog because my dog wouldn't let the coroner touch her body. And they lift the dog, lift him, sorry, and carry him. As I was being questioned by police, they left my 10-month-old child, in the living room, hanging on to the body of his dead mother, and begged him to take him off her. Eventually they did, and they gave him to my sister, who was living in America at the time. I had to explain to my partner's mother and sister what happened. Within a couple of hours, 3 weeks before Christmas, it was 3 weeks before Christmas, our first Christmas as parents, the happiest time of my life. But it all changed so fast. One day, everything was great. 1 minute, everything was great. And the next minute it wasn't. I found out that she died within 5 minutes of me leaving the house. I know this for a couple of reasons. I'd sent her text messages. Her phone was beside her. I sent her text messages to record the Champions League that day. I think Celtic were playing AC Milan on one of the WhatsApp matches. And the messages were never read. Come to find out later, I talked to a doctor, a cardiologist. She ended up dying of heart failure, but her condition was incredibly unique, very, very rare. And I ended up talking to a cardiologist, Dr. Sadi, very, very, very good friend of mine who I love very much, who explained the rarity of that condition and how few people actually have it. And what's even more incredible is that she was able to survive a pregnancy that she never should have survived. I look at my now 10-year-old son as a miracle. But that doesn't change the fact that my love of my life never got one Christmas with her son. Never got to blow out a birthday card, blow a birthday candle, give him a birthday card. She never got to hear him say his name. Got to hear my son say her name, hold his hand, to take his first steps. Nothing. She lost everything. I don't know if you're watching this somewhere and you're a mother or father, and you have children. If you do, don't take anything for granted. Think about it the next time you want to get upset over something stupid. Because I remember shortly after this happened how worthless every material thing that I owned was. Nothing could make me happy. I remember my son was teething at the time. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. He was crying, screaming, in pain. And I was giving him his medicine. He kept reaching over my shoulder and grabbing his mom's picture off the fireplace. He wanted his mother, and I couldn't bring her back. Her death absolutely destroyed me. I was 5,000 miles away from home. Had this little baby. And nobody to talk to. I went to the doctor, told him what happened. Told him about the horrendous emotional pain I was going through. I told him that I was experiencing things at home. TVs going on and off. Lights going on and off. But I don't know. There's a lot of very strange things in my house. And he said to me, whatever you do, don't tell anyone else that. Don't tell anyone else in the medical field that. Because they could take your child off you. Because they might think you're losing your mind. I am a single father to a 10-month-old child who is all I've got left. And the only thing keeping me alive. In the worst excruciating emotional pain. And I can't get any help. Because people think I'm going crazy. I wanted to believe that somewhere she was okay. That somewhere she was alive. And so every little thing, I put it down to her. The lights were her. The TVs were her. You do that sometimes when you're in horrendous emotional grief that you can't process for a very sudden death. The world expects you to move on fast, but I don't move on fast. I can't. I don't know how to put this behind me. I try, but see, now my son is 10. 2 weeks ago, was her 10th anniversary of her death. And my son cries, asking about his mom. He has questions about her. Doesn't know what she feels like, doesn't know what her voice is like. He can't watch a video without falling apart. I have to tuck a 10-year-old in at night who screams for his mother. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm just a dad doing my best. But because I was in this horrendous, emotionally vulnerable situation where I was really, really struggling, and have no doubt about this, if I did not have my son, I would have killed myself. There is absolutely no doubt. I would have ended that suffering. But then I know why I had him now. So shortly after her death, another problem began. And many people who have been in this situation will know what I'm talking about. I'd never heard of the term self-medicating before. I didn't know what that was. I soon come to find out what it was. Maybe couple months after she died, living in a hell every day. I was prescribed Vicodin for an upcoming knee surgery. Bear in mind, they'd be given this medication before when I had my kidney removed and some other injuries, and it was never a problem. In fact, when I had my kidney removed, I poured about 50 of them down a sink. They didn't want to take them anymore because the way it made me feel. But 3 months, maybe 3 months or so after I get this medication, and I remember taking 2 Vicodin. 30 minutes later, things didn't seem so bad. I wasn't in that emotional hell anymore. I was still hurting. But I experienced the first sense of happiness, any degree of happiness that could temporarily alleviate me from this hell. Right there was where an addiction was sowed that turned into an addiction that I have no idea I'm still alive. Because as everybody knows who's been addicted to opiates, and I think this is what fuels the opiate crisis in America, it's really a mental health crisis, but that's another question. It's another topic. Lots of people like me in incredibly emotionally difficult situations that have no outlet. Because today you get brandished, you're a freak, unemployable. I didn't choose any of this. I didn't ask for it. I would give anything I own to have her back. But it's been 10 years. And I'm still torn apart. I go to work. If I can't wake my kids in the morning without pulling my sleeves down over my hands in case they're cold. I can't look at anyone with a pale face. I was sadly at a funeral a month ago back home for a very good friend of mine who died suddenly. God rest his soul, Christopher. And I accidentally caught a glimpse of him in his casket. I was honestly close to being physically sick. I can't look at anyone with pale faces anymore. It gives me deep anxiety. If I leave, I have to know my kids are okay. I have serious anxiety when I go anywhere and I travel. But anyway, I developed a horrendous addiction to opiates. But it could have been anything. I could have did it if it was bleach, and it alleviated my suffering. I went from a couple of Vicodin to morphine, Percocet, whatever I could get my hands on, taking it at copious amounts. It should have killed me. It's destroyed my health. You know some of the things I've just told you. My gallbladder also failed, and I had hundreds of stones in it. I had to be taken in for emergency surgery to have my gallbladder removed. And because the infection was so bad, they kept me in hospital for days. I don't know if this is a result of opiates, but the person I was before versus the person I am now, I'm fighting every day for my life now. Since that incident, I got remarried to another beautiful woman who has since given me 2 other children, 2 beautiful children. They are the only reason why I'm still alive today, and that's a fact. I suffer horrendously mentally. I went to New York last week for a 5-day trip with my wife. One day I'm fine, 2 days I'm fine, 3 days I'm okay, and then I'm not. Saturday, I woke up at Friday night, maybe 2:30 in the morning, walked the streets of New York in freezing cold, crying to myself, asking what's wrong with me. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel trapped inside this head? My wife, of course, tries to help, but doesn't know what to do. I locked myself in the room in darkness. I wouldn't eat. Occasionally trying to pretend to people that it's okay because I'm embarrassed. As a man, I'm embarrassed. As I'm told as a man, this is weakness. This is not something I should be experiencing. I should man up. Where I'm from in North Belfast, suicide is an epidemic amongst young boys. Girls suffer horrendously too, don't get me wrong. My heart goes out no matter who you are. If you're in this struggle, my heart goes out to you big time. I'm so sorry. But I suppose part of this is to tell you you're not alone. There's people out there surviving every day. Skin deep happiness, pain like you would not believe. Nowhere to go. As of right now, I'm not taking opiates. But I could change tomorrow. I don't know how long I can do this for. When I have my bad days, and the people that experience this will know what I'm talking about. I'm in a dark hell that I can't describe, and I didn't have my kids around me to pull me out. And I can never, I'm scared of what I can do, what I'm capable of in that situation, of doing to myself. But all I do when I get to the very lowest ebb is think of my kids, especially my oldest son, who lives with immense insecurity over me. Asks me if I'm going to get deported by Trump. Asks me if I'm a legal immigrant, so I have a green card. But it scares him. He's 10 years of old age. He sees what's on TV. It scares him. Scares of being left alone. His dad being taken away. The last time I came into America with him, I had to go into secondary screening, and he took me away from him. For a child in his situation, that's incredibly traumatic. I don't want special treatment. I'm just a normal person. I'm trying really, really hard to be better. But I'm human. And I'm really struggling. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can for my kids. To not let my son's mother down. I bargain every day with the universe to let me live long enough to raise my kids. And then whatever happens, happens. I don't want to leave them alone in this world, especially my oldest, who deeply dependent on me. I'm gonna go get help today. Let's go try again. For my family, for me. And because if someone sat in front of me telling me this story, it's exactly what I would tell them to do. If you're out there struggling and you're watching this, just know you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there going through the same hell. And they don't show it every day. They live a different life that no one sees. People look at you and think, you're doing great. We wear that mask, but I'm not doing great. And I've never felt depression like this. It absolutely paralyzes me. So I hope if you're watching this and you're struggling, you can take something from this video that helps you in some way. I hope if you're a politician who sees this, Don't pay lip service to mental health. Don't use it as something to get elected with. Please, please provide resources for people like me and the millions of other people out there who don't have anywhere to go, whose mental health treatment is pills, because it temporarily alleviates the suffering, and then you die, and then they're called an addict, and that kill themselves. I prior to 2007, detested drugs. I don't take illegal drugs. I've never done cocaine in my life. I've never done heroin, never done anything like that. But if you find me dead from opiates, I'd just be another opiate statistic. How many people on those opiates were in my situation? Self-medicating, horrendous emotional pain. There's nowhere else to go. They don't have health insurance. And even if they did, sometimes it takes months to get appointments. Where do you start with someone like me? I want to thank the hundreds of people that have reached out to me on social media, Twitter, what have you, that I haven't had a chance to get back to. But please notice, I am so grateful to you for the lovely, kind messages that so many people have sent to me that mean the absolute world to me. If you're someone who dismisses this video, I understand. I may have done so too before I experienced this. I can only hope you never find yourself in this situation. But please, to the politicians that make up budgets for healthcare, don't abandon people with mental health. Don't write it off as some type of snowflake illness. You need to toughen up. I had that said to me by someone. I don't know, maybe it's their way of coping, but I need to toughen up. I was born in Belfast in the 70s and lived through horrendous violence. I'm tough enough. This isn't, I can't go to the gym and do weights and fix this. I don't know how to fix this. But I'm going to do one of the only things that I know how to do, and that's fight. Behind me, that's a very good friend of mine who unfortunately took his own life due to depression. Brendan McCoy, young, magnificent man from Malachans. I miss every day. This, Michael McCartan, is another young lad from Belfast who took his life. Another good friend of mine. I know that they were both experiencing horrendous emotional pain before they did it. Anyway, I wanted to do this because I feel like a fraud if I don't do it, because I'm good at giving other people advice, but it's easy to give advice. It's not easy to follow it. And because maybe you can watch this and notice that depression isn't always obvious. It's not how it's portrayed. Many people are living with horrendous emotional pain and function in life. All I ask for you is, if you have a negative view of depression, that you think that it's something that is the person's fault, please understand that nobody wants to feel this way. And the impact on the people around you when you feel this way is horrendous, is terrible. I have immense gratitude to my family who love me so much, to that they stand by my side and want me to fight through it. I have almost destroyed my health from addiction. But I don't want to say clean, because clean implies that taking drugs is dirty. And it's not. I am free at the moment of drugs, of opiates. That's all I've ever taken. But just today, I haven't beat anything. I've been just today. That is down to my doctor. That is down to my primary care doctor and my family and the people out there who bring me so much joy. Thank you to anyone who watches this, and I hope it helps someone. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to get in touch with me. You can find me on Twitter at Malachans. That's MALACHIANS. Or you can email me at beyondthepitch@gmail.com. You can find all that on our YouTube channel. This is the hardest video I've ever done. I'm sorry for getting emotional. I tried really hard to hold this together. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to watch this. If you're suffering somewhere watching this, my heart goes out to you. Please get help. The consequences of not are right here. Thank you, everyone. Take care. I hope you're all safe.